It's the Primetime Emmy nominations. Did your favorite get a nomination? Find out next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second Primetime Emmy nomination special. I'm your host, Kenny Harrison. You can find me at Kenny C. Harrison on Instagram and Twitter. Sitting next to me is a very lovely...
Hello, I'm Taylor Gates. You can find me on Twitter at alphabet_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
I love that. Sitting next to Taylor is the very beautiful...
Oh, the very beautiful and lovely. Hey, I'm Carla Renata. You can find me across all social platforms at The Curvy Critic.
And finally, our very handsome and dapper...
Well, thank you. Handsome and dapper. I'll take it. Guys, I'm Jeff Graham. If you guys want to find me online, you can do so on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham.
So if you're watching us on YouTube, make your comments down below. Download us on iTunes. We are excited. It's the nominations. We here at AfterBuzz, this is what we talk about is TV.
Yep.
So it's only fitting that we do another nomination special. Jeff wanted me to run through how the process works real quickly. So after the nominations are announced, each actor they are giving one episode to submit to a panel to vote on. And from there, I think the top winner, it used to be where they would, the winner was the highest ranked, but now it's the top vote getter. So the top vote getter will get the Emmy. So, and also for the series categories, they're allowed 6 episodes that are submitted in pairs of 2.
Okay, just for those who don't understand, because I don't understand, so that's really why I'm asking the question. So when you said highest ranked and top vote getter, what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so the highest ranked, what they used to do is they would, let's say I'm voting, I would pick my number 1 pick, number 2, number 3, number 4. She would pick her number 1, number 2, and so all the ones that get the number 1s, if they won by a majority, they become the winner. Gotcha. Now it's just whoever gets the most nominees. So if you notice how some shows that have more than one actor from the same show nominated, 9 times out of or a lot of the times they won't win because they're competing against their from the same show.
Right.
So it's very complicated, and if you need further explanation, tweet me and I'll give you more explanation.
Thank you.
So now they just pick one.
Yeah. So now instead of me ranking, from 1 to 6, I just pick 1.
Got it.
And whoever gets the most, which I don't understand why they haven't been doing that all along.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a little confusing, but now it's simple.
Of course, isn't that how Trump won? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Rest in peace, Sean Spicer.
And Melissa McCarthy. Yeah. So let's hop into it. We're going to start with the comedy series, and we're going to do something a little different than last year. Last year we only did drama and comedy. We're going to add the limited series.
Yes, it was a great year for limited. So
yes, and I found out via email that my panel here loves the limited series.
I do.
So we're going to do that as well. But we're going to start with comedy series, and I believe Carla is going to read off the first category, which is
Best Supporting Actor
in
a comedy, or Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy. And those people would be Louis Anderson for Baskets, Ty Burrell for Modern Family, Alec Baldwin for Saturday Night Live, Titus Burgess, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Tony Hale for Veep, and Matt Walsh for Veep.
Awesome. What do you guys think? This is, again, Jeff is the comedy guy here.
Yes, I am. I love all of these shows. I will say, though, I actually haven't been watching Modern Family this season. I love that show, and I've kept up with it, and I tune in, but I haven't been consistently watching. That said, Ty Burrell is always great. If I were to pick my favorite, my pick would be Louis Anderson here, who did win last year. I really like Louis Anderson. I've always liked him as a stand-up, and for those who don't know, he is portraying... Zach Galifianakis' mother on the show. So he's in drag, and it's the thing I like about his performance in this show is he's not playing a guy playing a girl. He's just like earnestly playing his mother.
Right.
So his performance is very interesting, sort of in the same way that Jeffrey Tambor's performance on Transparent is like an earnest portrayal of kind of queerness or femininity, and it's great. I'd love to see him win it again. I think Alec Baldwin is actually predicted to win this year, which
he's definitely got that on lockdown.
I mean, this year is an interesting year.
Yeah. And I'm going to sound like a broken record all day. overall, because we are in this like new age of television, so I was actually expecting new names on the list. And out of this list, I think all of them were nominated last year except for Baldwin.
Yeah.
But you know why that probably happened? You know, there's that cutoff time for the nomination. So a lot of the shows that you probably thought were gonna, or the people that you thought were gonna show up, probably were not eligible based on the cutoff deadline.
Right. Well, we got 2 guys from Veep, and I actually thought Timothy Simmons. I don't know if you watch Veep, but he plays Jonah Ryan.
Oh yeah.
He's hilarious, and I would have liked to see him get it. And don't get me wrong, I love Tony Hale and Matt Walsh. I think Modern Family for me has kind of run its toll. I love Ty Burrell. Don't get me wrong, I love him. He's the funniest thing on the show.
Let me tell you something. Modern Family for me never ever gets old.
Yeah.
It never gets old. It's because it's a running commentary on life in real time.
Right.
And for me, that's why it's like, you know, of course, like any series, some episodes are funnier than the others. I mean, you know, that just goes without saying. But child, that show is just funny to me.
The thing I do appreciate about Modern Family is their network comedy, so it is tougher, I think, to generate consistently good content when you have 22 episodes to fill. We'll talk about with This Is Us as well. But it is like when the Veep writers room has all that time to write 10 great episodes, you almost do feel like they're given a bit of an advantage because they're not on such an aggressive production schedule.
And they're not censored.
And they're not censored.
Oh, yeah, and then there's that.
I think there's a big difference. My personal pick, Titus Burgess had probably, and I will say this, I would have considered him as lead because a lot of the episodes were focused on him. Like the Lemonade episode was by far the funniest thing I've seen in history.
And I think just funny.
He's just funny, and I think, and sometimes because I do watch Match Game sometimes, and it's hard separating Titus Burgess from Titus Andromedon. Yeah, that's it. So I would love to see him win.
Yeah.
That is going to be my pick.
It would be wonderful to see him win, just because everybody else in that category has won at some point. Except for Matt Walsh, I think.
Yeah.
Tony's won. Alec Baldwin's won an Emmy before. Ty's won an Emmy. Louis won last year. So he would be the only person that hasn't won. So it would be nice to see, you know, voters give him a little love just once.
Right.
Because we don't know if Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt will show, or the show will show him love when the Emmys roll around next year.
That's true.
That's true.
Taylor, do you have any?
I feel
Jump
like
in here.
Okay.
Girl, don't be so quiet.
I feel like just because how much buzz like Alec Baldwin Saturday Night Live has gotten, like you can't go on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram without seeing a clip of that. Just the fact, like, combined with its buzz and just kind of like no one can stop talking about it. You know what I mean? I feel like
funny.
He's great. Like he's amazing at it, and I think it's going to Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I remember when he was announced before the season even started to play Trump. I scratched my head. I was like, I don't see it. And then his first episode, I was like, oh, he's got it. Like he definitely gets the Trump isms.
Let me give you the number one reason why I think Alec Baldwin is going to win that Emmy. Alec Baldwin started out in the industry as a theater actor on Broadway.
Okay.
Right? So when he started out on Broadway, he was a leading man. He was very handsome. He had that leading man thing going on, and he has somewhere along the line, I think maybe starting with 30 Rock, transformed and transitioned from a leading man to a character actor. To do that as an actor in the industry, you got to have major chops, and you have to be 100,000% sure of who you are and be confident with who you are. So because he is that, and because the industry has seen him take that shift, and seen him take that shift unequivocally, like to a whole nother celestial level, I think that he deserve. He's won an Emmy before, and we know that.
Right.
But dude, to do Donald Trump the way he does it, it's just
pretty great.
It's pretty cool.
Great. Any snubs from in this category that we should mention? I have a few.
I've got a few too. You want to start, Kenny? Or
I'll start. I wrote down, and I'm more drama. I watch more drama, but I have a whole list of comedy. I loved Atlanta, and I think Brian Tyree Henry.
Thank you.
Should have been nominated. He did get a nomination for This Is Us for guest.
Yeah.
But I thought he was pretty amazing.
Unbelievable.
On Atlanta. And I also wrote down Zach Woods for Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Jared is just so awkward and so funny. I I enjoy watching him even when he, even when he's only mentioned in a scene. So those are my two. I will share the table with other people, but those are my two. And Andrew Rosales from Girls.
Yeah,
he had a great one episode on Girls that was really funny. Overall, Girls tanked for me, but that's just my opinion.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Considering we have so many strong network shows this year, I was really disappointed that Speechless didn't get nominated at all. It got completely shut out because the writing on that show was really great. And in this category, John Ross Bowie, who plays like the father, is like phenomenal. He's kind of the show's secret weapon, I feel like, holding it all together. And I would have loved for him to have gotten some love for his performance because he's really great in it. And it's a very kind of subtle deal next to Minnie Driver's character, which balances it out really nicely.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about Atlanta a lot because the interesting thing about Atlanta is it got a lot of love, but I don't think in the right ways.
I agree.
Like, and I have a theory, Kenny, and I'll see if you agree, but I think it's the kind of thing where Atlanta was such a buzzy show, but I doubt a lot of these critics actually watched the whole 10 episodes.
Right.
So I feel like their instincts as to how to honor the show were totally wrong. But Brian Tyree Henry was unbelievable in this show. And if you watch who he is as like in interviews or as an actor, his character Paperboy on the show is just a complete turn from who he is. And I always love, to me, whether or not this is fair, I like honoring actors who are playing something so outside of who they are, which is part of the reason, even though Titus Burgess is great, I'm like, is he being like challenged as an actor?
That's
he's not. He's just being Titus.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, let's be real.
And I'm really glad you mentioned Silicon Valley too. I actually cover both Atlanta and Silicon Valley for the network. And Zach Woods had an amazing season.
Yeah.
And Thomas Middleditch too I think he's got an Emmy nom for this role before, but he offered such a physical performance this season. And for those who watch the show, his character is kind of on the verge of a breakdown all season. And I thought he really played neuroses really well. So yeah, I think I guess he would be lead, wouldn't he?
He was nominated lead last year.
Yeah. Well, either way, I would have liked in general to see more acting love for Silicon Valley this season. But
I think Silicon Valley is one of those sleeper hits. It's one of those shows that's really, really funny. That's a really great quality show.
Right.
But is under the radar, and unfortunately, all of the love for Silicon Valley goes to T.J. Miller all the time.
Right.
Well, isn't there kind of some... this might be off topic, but didn't he exit the show this past season?
A lot of drama.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Up until that point, all the love was going toward him.
Right.
So now that all the love was going toward him and Homeboy's not there anymore, you're kind of like...
Right.
I agree.
The network and the people and the fans of the show are kind of like, okay, well, what's going to happen with the show now?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch. Okay, let's move on to supporting actress in a comedy.
Supporting actress in a comedy nominees are Vanessa Bayer for Saturday Night Live, Leslie Jones for Saturday Night Live, Kate McKinnon Saturday Night Live, Katherine Hahn for Transparent, Judith Light for Transparent, and Anna Klumsky. Klumsky for Veep.
We had this conversation last year about sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And I sat here, and you can go watch the tape. I said I would love Kate McKinnon to win, but I don't think she was going to win, and she ended up winning last year. So my vote is Kate McKinnon. It's great to see Vanessa Bayer on this list. I'm not sold on Leslie Jones per se. I think that Leslie Jones is Leslie Jones in kind of every sketch. But those will be my two, and I love Anna Klumsky.
Yes.
If it's not Kate or Vanessa, that's my next pick. What do you guys think?
I think Kate McKinnon has it again. I agree with you, but I agree. I would love Vanessa Bayer because she is so slept on. I feel like she doesn't get the recognition. She's had great skits this year with Rachel from Friends and the Totino's Pizza.
Pizzas.
Like she's so good, and the fact that she is leaving after this season, that would be kind of a great way to honor her. I don't actually watch Transparent, but Katherine Hahn, I've seen her in other things like Bad Moms and We're the Millers, and she's hilarious in those, and I have no doubt that she's just as good in Transparent, and I feel like she's another one who doesn't quite get the recognition she deserves, so it's great that she's nominated at least. I'm glad she's getting some buzz at least.
Yeah. So in general, I feel kind of weird about this category because in general, it feels a little underwhelming. Like I was looking at these nominated actresses and I was like, For some reason, I feel like just the roles for supporting females in comedies feels a little weak this season. Not necessarily the performances, but just like none of these people made me really excited. Besides Anna Klumsky, who I think is amazing in Veep and has won this award. She
has
hasn't.
Not won this category.
She's my pick. I'd love to see her win.
Yeah.
The other, we're not talking about snubs yet, so I'll wait to talk about snubs. But
go ahead, feel free.
Well, okay. So I don't know if any of you guys watched The Good Place this year.
I heard about it. I did not watch it.
I didn't watch it
There were a
either.
lot of people saying that a lot of actors from that show should have been nominated.
The Good Place was really fun. I don't think it was necessarily like a really revolutionary network comedy, but I like Michael Schur, who also does Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He created Parks and Rec. And this new show, The Good Place, is definitely along the same line and the same tone. There's a character in that show named... Wow. I covered this show for our network. She's played by Darcy Carden. I'll describe the character. She plays like an assistant, basically like a human embodiment of Siri. And she just plays the character in such a funny, specific, deadpan way.
Right.
And I would have loved to have seen her get nominated for her role. She's not a huge actress. She's a UCB girl who's finally breaking in, but her name's Darcy Carden. Karen is the name of the character.
Got it.
And it's a wonderful portrayal, and I'm bummed she isn't getting much love for that.
You know, I concur with you about supporting actress in this category, and I agree with my other two panelists that Kate McKinnon or Vanessa Bayer are probably gonna walk away with it. It would be great to see Vanessa get some love because she is up until this season actually was kind of underutilized on SNL, and this season they really kind of shed some light on her and gave her some love. And since she is leaving, it would be nice to see her get some love. But in terms of the snubs, I don't know why people sleep on my girl Jennifer Lewis on Blackish.
Yes, that's a good one.
Jennifer Lewis on Blackish. Jennifer Lewis is hilarious. She played every black actor's mama in every black movie, every black show. And she's really funny. And I think the biggest misconception with her is that people have a tendency to believe that the person that they see in these movies and on television is who she is, and it kind of isn't. She's kind of, in real life, she's very, she's kind of very, for lack of a better way to say it, very milquetoast and kind of not shy, but a lot more toned down,
contained.
But when she's on, she's on.
Well, you know.
I agree.
But she's funny, and they sleep on her. I think she got a People's Choice? She got a nomination for something earlier this year. I think it might have been People's Choice or something like that. She was so excited because Jennifer's been in the business forever and never gotten any kind of recognition in that way. So it would have been nice to see her get recognition here.
Totally back you up on that. And I'm going to throw out my snubs. Again, going back to Atlanta, Zazie Beetz, I think that's her name. She had one of her the one episode that she's featured in. She was hilarious.
This is the P episode?
Yes.
So good.
It was real well written, well performed, and I thought, I was actually looking to see if she was going to be on this list. And then another, you mentioned Transparent, and we had this discussion about Transparent last year. Amy Landecker is hilarious. She's the oldest of the three siblings. And she, over the 3 seasons, she's by far had my attention. And we always talk about, we talked about this last year about Transparent being a comedy or a drama. It has more heavy tones than it does comedy.
That's why they call it a dramedy.
Right, exactly. It's nice to see Catherine Hahn in this, but I would have loved to see Jennifer, or I agree with Jeff. I think this is kind of the most underwhelming. Not saying the actresses that are nominated aren't great. I just felt
but the
like
category, it could have been. I think what all of us are trying to say is that it could have been a better mix of people
agreed.
than the mix of people that people decided, and I think it's based on the voting system. The way we talked about how the voting system happens, they just go based on what's the most popular thing and what's on their TV sets at that time, and they just don't kind of branch out of whatever their normal watching routine is.
Mark what you said, because that's what I'm gonna say about the drama side. I have my issues with
Ooh.
Okay, let's move on. Lead actor in a comedy series.
Lead actor in a comedy series: Donald Glover for Atlanta, Zach Galifianakis for Baskets, and it's Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Aziz Ansari for Master of None, William H. Macy for Shameless, and Jeffrey Tambor for Transparent.
What do you got, Jeff?
So I would love to see William H. Macy win this award.
Interesting.
I like Shameless a lot, and if we're talking about actors who you're used to seeing them in a certain way and they kind of venture into something else, Frank Gallagher on Shameless is just a complete departure from William H. Macy, and it's funny. This is important. What you were just talking about with dramatic comedy shows like Transparent, it's weird when I see Kathryn Hahn nominated, for example, because her performance is so serious.
Yes.
So I'm like, am I looking for a funny performance in a comedy category? Like, she gets nominated because it's a great performance. So I think William H. Macy is a great example of a very, very funny performance in a very, very serious show, and it's a comedy category. So I would like to see him win this. I'm not sure whether or not he's actually won the Emmy for this portrayal.
Not for this show.
No.
Yeah, so I would love to see that happen for him, though the prediction is Donald Glover for Atlanta, which I kind of have my problems with. But
Why is that?
I love Donald Glover. I love Childish Gambino.
But
his performance in Atlanta isn't the thing that makes the show what it is.
It's the writing.
It's the
I was just
writing.
about to say,
And it's
the
Brian
writing.
Tyree, it's Paperboy. And
Right.
like, Donald Glover's character in that show is designed to be like the audience surrogate. Like, he's kind of a quiet, unspoken, just going through figuring out who he is. But his performance isn't the thing that's mind-blowing about that show. So I really feel like he's going to win the Emmy in a way that Atlanta doesn't deserve to get recognized for.
That's what you said earlier.
Right. So I think maybe he deserves a nomination, but I do not think he deserves the win here, and I think he's going to get it.
I got something to say about that. So remember, Donald Glover came off of Community into Atlanta.
Right.
And Community was, again, one of those shows that was a sleeper hit.
No
People
one
loved
watched.
it. People loved it,
Yeah,
though.
but nobody watched. A lot of people didn't watch it.
Right.
Oh my God, their fan base for that show is ridiculous,
Yeah.
though. Like, somebody was watching it because their fan
Right.
base is huge. The show was on the air for like 5 seasons,
Right.
so somebody was definitely watching the show. But the thing about it is that his character on Community was really funny. And I think sometimes in this industry, people get rewarded for work that they did previous to what they're currently
Yeah.
doing. So I think in the instance of Atlanta, people may be like, oh, Dave, we slept on him while he was on Community. Let's give him some love for Atlanta. So I agree with you on that point. But for this category, I think, and I'm biased, I'm just going to admit it, I'm biased. I graduated from Howard University, and Anthony Anderson is a Bison. He went to Howard. Anthony Anderson is one of those people that is always under the radar but gets no love. I'm like, I would like to see him get some love. Zach gets love. William H. Macy gets love. Jeffrey Tambor done got love. Aziz got love. Donald's got. Let's give Anthony Anderson some love. Let's give him an Emmy, damn it.
Yeah.
My only problem with Anthony Anderson is you said this about Jennifer Lewis. Anthony Anderson is Anthony Anderson for me, and I think whereas I love Blackish, and the show last year, doing this show last year, got me to watch Blackish because I only saw 2 episodes to prepare for this show, and I ended up watching all of them. He does not make the show for me, and I think you can't have.
I'll agree with you on that.
Okay, good.
You like good because I don't really care if you do that.
No, but I'm not taking away from Anthony. I think he's great. I agree. I don't watch Shameless that much, but William H. Macy has been nominated every year since the show. It's been in what, 8 seasons now?
Yeah,
and
7
he's not won.
or 8, yeah.
And I've only watched episodes here and there, and he makes the show. Plus, it's an hour-long show, so he has a little bit of an advantage. I think this is going to be a repeat from the last couple of years. I think Jeffrey Tambor, I mean, he steps out of the box, and I actually think that this season, we'll talk about it later, was one of the better seasons out of all 3 seasons. And I'll explain that later when we get to comedy series.
I
but
would love to see Aziz kind of sneak in there.
Yeah.
though.
His show is funny, though. It's funny, right?
And like I
love
feel like
it.
he doesn't get quite as much love as the other people on this list.
He was on Community, too.
I was gonna
Wasn't he on
say,
Community, too?
You mentioned Donald Glover being on Community.
Everybody
I think,
from Community is blowing up.
Yeah.
well, I think he was on Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
Wrong Indian guy. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that was Danny Pudi. Just because they're both Indian.
There's only 3 of them.
I
in
know,
the
I made that mistake. I know they say all black people look like. I'm sorry, boo. Sorry.
So, any snubs in this category? I know you mentioned Thomas Middleditch.
Yeah, I think his performance on Silicon Valley this season was really special and super committed. And when you talk about like embodying a character and like offering a consistent performance, I really feel like the Richard he gave us this season was like pretty nuanced and like consistent from episode to episode, and a nomination I think would have been nice for him. But it's a crowded category.
It is crowded. Anybody else? I don't have many.
I don't have any.
And I'm going to say this, and I think if you're watching and you disagree, and this is a shout out to the women, the comedy shows that are centered around women are far superior than the ones that are centered around men. And I only say this because we're going to get to it in the next category. The next category is loaded, and each nominee, they are the center. Whereas like William H. Macy, that's an ensemble. Donald Glover is kind of an ensemble.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis, I don't really watch Baskets. I tried. I can't get into it.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
I don't hear a lot of people buzzing about it.
It's a very weird show.
But you'll see when you get to the next
sure.
we get to the lead actress, it's like every show, and I have one issue with that category, but a lot of the women, even the ones that weren't nominated, and I got my issues with lead actress, even the shows that aren't nominated, their shows are still strong based on the central female lead. And with that, we're going to go right into the lead actress category.
Oh, yes.
With the nominees being
Pam Adlon for Better Things, Tracee Ellis Ross for Blackish, Lily Tomlin for Grace and Frankie, Jane Fonda for Grace and Frankie, Allison Janney for Mom, Ellie Kemper for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep.
So I'm going to continue my rant. Scratch Allison Janney off this list. And I think she's great. And I think it's one of those things where it's her name, you got to nominate her.
I hear you.
And she's won, and she's done the same thing with West Wing, where she was supporting, now she's lead. So I have my issues with that. Aside from that, the other nominees, they carry their shows really well, and these shows, in my opinion, are far superior than the male leads. And again, and I'm going back to this Anthony Anderson, you can't have that show without Tracee Ellis Ross.
Yeah.
She makes that show 10 times better. And of course, I mean, Veep, come on.
Because she makes Rainbow so... But the thing about... Not to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
The thing about Tracee that makes her character on Blackish very entertaining and compelling to watch is that Tracee Ellis Ross, the person, is very eccentric and quirky and crazy. So she brings all of that to the character of Rainbow, and you watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, she's off the charts.
Right.
But it's like watching a car wreck, and you know you should just keep going, but you're like steady just driving like this, trying to see what's going on.
Right.
That's what it is about that character that makes people root for her.
Right.
In addition to the fact that, she's Diana Ross's daughter.
I hear what you're saying about these female-driven comedies.
But I hear a butt coming up.
Well, it's interesting. Like, I would say with Unbreakable, the show isn't without time. Like, the show does... I don't think Ellie Kemper necessarily carries that show.
But when she's on, she's on.
I hear you.
And you watch her.
She's cute and she's funny. We like her.
Right, okay.
She wins every year, but Julia's the best for me in this category. And I agree. I love Bo on Blackish. And Tracee Ellis Ross won a Critics' Choice this year, which was
She
so
won a
awesome.
Golden Globe,
She
too.
won a Golden Globe.
Golden Globe.
So
she's got some momentum. So I would love to see her win. I really love her. I think she's great. But it's hard for me to not say that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is offering the best performance in this category.
Yeah.
She won already. Let somebody else take the Emmy
She's
home.
won 4 times in a row.
I know. And I get that we want to share, but if I'm trying to take a step back and say who deserves the award, I would have to say Julia Louis-Dreyfus again, and I think she's going to win.
I think that she's the favorite, and I think she's going to win too, but Pamela Adlon is so good, and I know, nobody's watching Better Things.
Right.
That show is incredible. I binge watched it in 2 days. It just has such a unique vibe to it, and she brings so much realism to it, and she's hilarious. I would love to see Pamela get recognized.
Cool.
I was actually surprised to see her name on the list.
Me too.
That was one I forgot about. I was
But
like,
don't you love that? Don't you love when because you were saying earlier about how the list sometimes can be so
Repeat.
incredibly predictable. Don't you love when a name shows up or a show shows up that you as a viewing person are not expecting, but you would like to see it there? It's so great. And then when that person wins, what?
Even better.
Remember that year when Melissa McCarthy won for Mike and Molly.
Yeah.
Nobody thought she was going to win for Mike and Molly.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Loved
and she
it.
won. It was great. Okay.
So having said that, I have a few female leads that should have been nominated. I don't know if
Yes.
you guys even watch. Oh, we have a live chat. Good.
Oh.
There's a British actress. I wrote her name down. It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Fleabag. Yeah.
Love that show.
Is she eligible?
She was eligible, and
Okay.
she was not nominated. And I think maybe because no one watched it. And
Right.
and I think the show was it came out at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe people forgot about it, but she was nominated for Critics' Choice and a lot of other awards. That show is hilarious, and I think that show as a whole was overlooked.
Yeah.
Can I just address this chat that's up here real
Go
quick?
for it.
So, Terrell Bellinger, you said, I believe Tracee Ellis Ross shines in every scene as Bo Johnson. She can prove it more than just being Diana Ross's daughter in real life. Okay, first of all, I wasn't dissing her being Diana Ross's daughter. I was just stating a fact. And I agree with you, so don't be coming for me on the internet. I love Tracee Ellis Ross. Didn't you hear my love letter by verbal about how fantabulous she is and how much she brings to the character? So I agree with you, but it is a fact. Everybody knows she's Diana Ross's daughter. I'm just saying. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I love Tracy too. I'm going to say, Issa Rae. That was on my list
too,
too.
yeah.
Oh, right. Issa Rae.
I think some people forgot about her.
Yeah.
And there was also Sarah Jessica Parker. You mentioned The
For
Good
Divorce.
Place. For Divorce, The Good Place, Kristen Bell.
I will say her performance is good in the show. I don't know if she's making the show necessarily.
Okay.
So, and that might not be a snub for me, but
One of my guilty pleasures was The Mick.
yeah.
Caitlin Olsen.
I love Caitlin Olsen.
She was hilarious. And I've never watched Sunny in
she's
Philadelphia.
great and Sunny.
Oh, she's hilarious on
So
that show.
now I'm going to go watch it because I love The Mick.
Yeah.
So those were my, just a few. I mean, I got Michaela Cole, I think it is, Chewing Gum.
I
on
didn't watch
Netflix.
it.
Those are
It's
some
that
good
British
ones.
comedy, man. And again, it was only 6 episodes per season, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But those were some notably absent. I think I covered all mine.
Speaking of the Netflix shows that didn't get any nominations, One Day at a Time was so good. It was their first season. It was a freshman show. It had, I think, like 13 episodes.
Latino version of the show.
Yes, Norman Lear. I thought that both Justina Machado, who's been in this industry forever, she was on like Queen of the South, a ton of stuff. She's showing a completely different side in this show.
I hear she's hilarious
She's
on that show.
hilarious, and she's so grounded. She grounds the show so well. I would have loved to see a nomination for her. And back in the supporting actress, Rita Moreno. EGOT winner, Rita Moreno.
Yeah.
No nomination.
Anita from West Side Story.
Right?
What?
She's iconic. And I was really shocked not to see her name, like any names from that show on this list. I think it was really slept
It
on
might
this
be
year.
a deadline thing. You know, I think it might have been a deadline.
It came
cutoff
out
thing.
in January, though.
Well, then it
Oh,
was
and then-
eligible.
I was trying to give
It's a
some lead.
multicam, which I think always hurts.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
But we saw Mom in there, and
I know, we
I
did
got
see
my
Mom.
issues with that.
Kevin's like, well, we saw Mom.
And again, I love Allison Janney. I was in the same elevator with her once. That's my claim to fame. I love her, but I can't. And I try watching Mom. I can't. It's for me, it's unwatchable. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, it's unwatchable.
What, Mom?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that show was funny. What?
Can we
That
move on?
support group? No, we cannot. We're gonna talk about we can move on. That show was funny though. That support group, what? Okay.
Quick snub I'd love to shout out for Lead, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I know you're hating on girls, but I think from an acting perspective, Lena was so good this season.
She had one great scene.
See, I think
One
Giving himself a
scene.
facelift as he's talking
Yeah.
about it. He's like, she had one great
Do you
scene.
think so? You don't love her as an actress?
Okay, so when I start something, I like to try to finish it.
Yeah.
And I stuck with Girls for 6 seasons, and I was so let down by the last season.
Yeah.
That I was totally okay with them not getting any love.
See, girls for me, if we're talking about the show over its run, I think the show itself has gotten worse, but the performances have gotten better and better. It's kind of a reverse correlation.
The scene the episode where her and Adam Driver are kind of back together and they go through an entire relationship in 30 minutes
Yes.
was phenomenal. And she has a great scene at the end. Aside from that,
I just gotta say, I think I would have at least. I think she deserved the acting nom here, and I'm bummed she didn't get it. But whatever you want to say about the show, I think she's a really, really great actress.
I just have to say, I love Adam Driver. Okay, continue.
He's
Yeah.
great. He's great.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that show not getting as much love as it did.
Yeah.
Okay, we are now on our drama series. Who's doing drama series? Who's reading the nominees?
I can. Taylor,
Do
would
it.
you like? Shall I?
Go
Let's
for
see how
it.
I do with mine.
Okay, so we're gonna start with supporting, I think, actress first.
Supporting actress for drama. We have Uzo Aduba for Orange is the New Black, Millie Bobby Brown for Stranger Things, Ann Dowd for The Handmaid's Tale, Samira Wiley for The Handmaid's Tale, Chrissy Metz for This Is Us, love that, and Tandy Newton for Westworld.
I'm going to take this one first.
Go for it.
I got lots to say.
Okay.
So, I love Uzo Aduba. I do. But I think the last couple of seasons of Orange is the New Black, they haven't done as much with her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I love her, but so that's how I feel about her. Handmaid's Tale.
Everyone does that.
I know. I think that they're probably gonna walk away with something this year. Samira Wiley was on Orange is the New Black, and I would have loved to have seen her nominated
For that.
Orange is the New Black, because her
I
character
Poussey.
was great, and especially the way
She went out.
She went out. It was really
Spoiler
wonderful.
alert.
But I think the person, I would love to see someone from Handmaid's Tale walk away with the Emmy. But I think the person that I feel should be walking away with the Emmy is Chrissy Metz from This Is Us. Kevin, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's Kenny.
Or
And-
Kenny, sorry. Why is it Kevin? Kenny, honey. I told you, actually, I just said baby and honey. I
know, exactly.
Tandy Newton should do well too, because Tandy Newton on Westworld is. So that's what I'm saying. Samira Wiley all the way. Yes, Daniel J. But I would love to see either Tandy Newton or Chrissy Metz win, only because those two shows are really, really well written, really well produced shows. The characters that these women play on these shows are very well fleshed out, and they do a fantabulous job at doing them. I particularly like Chrissy Metz's character, because Chrissy Metz's character speaks to what's happening in society with curvy women or women that are not a size 2. And I think that her portrayal of that character gives those women a voice, and to see that be rewarded through her performance with an Emmy would really be great.
Y'all gonna hate me.
All right,
wanna jump in,
Kenny.
Taylor?
I know your name now, Kenny.
Spill
Taylor,
the tea.
you wanna go first?
I agree with everything you said about Chrissy Metz.
Oh,
It would
I
be
know y'all gonna hate me.
wonderful to see someone
drop kick
like represent, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah, I
such an
know.
important storyline. And she's a newcomer, and it's always fun to see newcomers. And speaking of that, Millie Bobby Brown, I feel like she has a chance. Like, she has
Yeah.
a shot. She's gotten a lot of critical acclaim already for her role. Like, no one can stop talking about her. She's so young. I think it'd be cool to see her be in the competition too.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities in this category, because it's new versus old versus this versus, it's a lot going on.
So fun fact, I mentioned this earlier, this was the one category where nobody from last year was nominated.
I love that.
Mainly because there was like 3 Game of Thrones and they're ineligible this year. Okay, so my pick is going to be Ann Dowd. I love Handmaid's Tale. I loved her on The Leftovers. She can do no wrong. Okay, so I am not on this Is Us bandwagon. I watched every episode and I'm just like, oh, okay. That's cute. It has moments.
No, Kenny, for real?
It has moments, and there are a lot of great performances. I'm not necessarily sold on Chrissy Metz, but I'm glad she's nominated. I told you weren't gonna like this.
Okay, look,
and
I'm gonna say something that's gonna change your mind, though. I'm gonna say something that's gonna change your mind.
Go ahead.
And you may not remember the show, or you may remember the show. So the showrunner for This Is Us is Dan Fogelman.
Okay.
Dan Fogelman wrote that movie Crazy Stupid Love, and he also created a sitcom for ABC called The Neighbors.
Yes.
For somebody that can create Crazy Stupid Love to The Neighbors to This Is Us,
And Pitch on Fox, which got canceled.
and
but
Pitch on Fox, which
Yeah.
got about the first black female pitcher.
Totally different show. Yeah.
For somebody that has all of that happen in their imagination, and P.S. you gotta watch the This Is Us episode where they are at the pool. Did you see that one?
I've seen every episode.
What about the one where they were at the pool and the girl was telling him about
Don't
being
remember it.
ashy? Come on, you gotta
Don't
remember.
remember.
You gotta remember that
Don't
when they were
remember.
talking about being ashy. You know you remember.
Don't remember it.
But anyway,
I told you, you guys are gonna hate me. I wasn't sold on. I'm not even sold on Stranger Things, and
I agree with you on Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things, but it doesn't feel like an Emmy show.
It was
No.
very commercial. Yeah.
Yeah,
It won the popular vote.
which is fine. I kind of almost like that Stranger Things and This Is Us to a certain extent are sort of pushing back against the pretension of a lot of these really intense prestige cable dramedies. And here's what I'll say about This Is Us, and I felt the same way about The Good Wife. It's hard.
Don't you talk bad about The Good
I'm
Wife.
gonna talk good about The Good Wife.
Okay, good. I was about to say, I'm jump across this table.
No.
Oh no, the violence.
What I'm gonna say is for both of these shows, and it's tough, I think, for networks shows to sometimes achieve the same level of acclaim that prestige dramas do, and because you're limited, you can't say the F word, you can't have these explicit sex scenes, and it's tougher for you to delve into really socially challenging content. So you've got to rely on character storytelling, and you've got to rely on, and I think The Good Wife did this too. It's just really, really rich, well-developed characters.
Yes.
And so I think This Is Us did something special this season, which was kind of capture the nation in a way that network dramas hardly ever do. So it might not reach the same level of depth of like a Handmaid's, but you can't on NBC. So that's why I'm okay with the love that This Is Us is getting this season. And you know I cried every episode of that show.
And I feel like that's
Okay, give me some
but I feel like
love. Yes.
that was the purpose of the writing, was to make let's see how we can make these people cry.
No, it is not.
Every promo, you can't watch who dies or watch.
Okay, but wait.
can't.
Okay, but wait. The premise of
You
this.
got me sweating over here.
No,
It's
I'm
100
having a hot
degrees in
flash, so
here.
there's that. But the premise of This Is Us is to show how people think that blended families work really well. The purpose of this show is to show how an unintentional blended family.
Right.
It works, but they have issues like every other family does. Families are complicated. With every relationship in a family, it's complicated, and it's even more complicated in This Is Us because we have a child that's adopted, and we have
A black child. No, I get it.
a black child. You know what I mean? There are all these issues
I get it.
that are at the forefront. The people, we know they exist, but nobody talks about it. So the fact that you have a show that's not only addressing the issues but talking about it loud and proud is really something else. And every character on the show has their own issue, has their own layer. Even his relationship with his the what's the guy that I can't
Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown. He's my homie from St. Louis. Oh, it's the heat, child.
It is. By the way, it's 100 degrees in the studio, so if we're sweating,
yes, if we're
please.
sweating and I'm going like this, you will forgive us, sister. But Sterling K. Brown's character, even the dynamics with his wife and with his children and with his father who came back into his life, and the issue of whether you black, white, or what you are, the issue of dealing with finding out that somebody else is really your father and not your real father, and then meeting your real father and having all of that go on, that's a lot, and that's real. So for all of those reasons, that's the reason that I like This Is Us. And it's very reminiscent to me of a show that was on the air before all of y'all were born. It was called 30-something.
I remember 30-something.
30-something was written very similar to This Is Us, but This Is Us is kind of like a newer, fresher, millennial type of version of it, and I love it. Can you tell?
Clearly. Can we move on?
Yes, we can move on.
Oh, and I will add on to what Taylor said about Millie Bobby Brown. She's a young British actress who plays American, and I think she did pretty well. Although I'm not sold on This Is Us, but I think she has a chance. And Dowd, that's my girl. I'm going for that.
I would love to see Tandy in this category, I gotta say.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah. Did you watch Westworld?
I did. I forgot about her.
Yeah. I think on this show, it was such a... it was a role that forced her into a lot of challenging moments.
Yes.
And yeah, I just think like really
being naked for half of the season.
Yeah, I mean like
She's an ex-Bond girl though. What you expect?
That's true.
but it is like a very that character. I think the character was such a challenging entry that.
Yeah.
And actually, people are saying she's favored to win.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I would like to see. I didn't love Westworld like everyone else did, but I think she blew me away in the show.
I have my issues with Westworld. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We're moving on. Supporting. Oh, any snubs?
Yes.
I have one. Oh, go for it,
I
Taylor.
have 3.
Go for it. Go for it.
Go, girl.
So, okay, 13 Reasons Why. Not really an Emmy show, I wouldn't say,
Okay.
but Kate Walsh, like, gave the performance of a lifetime. I feel like she got so deep and real, and just like the intensity and difficulty of that role, I think could have warranted some attention here.
They
So
just
Kate
ignore
Walsh,
her a lot.
They do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another one, Vera Farmiga, because she was
Oh, yeah.
nominated in supporting actress, which like maybe
Well,
not.
She was dead. We were talking about Bates Motel. She was dead the entire
Yes,
season.
but
And she did it really
kind of
alive.
still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
I can
and
back you up
she's-
on that one.
Yeah, and she's not gotten any love from the Emmys ever,
Right.
pretty much. I would have loved to see Vera in the last season. And Constance Zimmer was nominated last year for
Ooh,
Unreal.
yeah.
That's a good one. Yes.
She's
Yeah.
so good. And I know that the second season wasn't nearly up to the caliber as the first. I wouldn't say it
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, no, we're gonna
Well, I
fight it.
love the first season.
Yeah.
But she had some great material to work
did.
with in the second season. She got very emotional and learned more of her
Yeah, they gave her more
backstory,
range in the second season for Unreal.
Yeah.
And she was nominated last year.
Yeah, fun fact, I was in the Apple store getting some stuff fixed and ran into the show creator for Unreal.
Ooh.
Sarah?
She had, I forget her name, but
Gertrude Shapiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she had a call sheet that said Unreal at the top, and my dumb behind was like, "So you working on Unreal this week? What's happening?" And she's, because you're sitting in the Apple store for like 5,000 hours,
Right.
And she said, "You watch Unreal?" I'm like, "Yeah, I watch Unreal." And she was like, "Really?" She said, "I created that show." I'm like, "Shut up, you did not." And she was, and we
awesome.
had this whole conversation about it. Okay, but continue.
It's a dream. That's those are
I
cool.
have one snub, and I can't pronounce her last name. I'm looking it up now. She's the wife on Handmaid's Tale. Yvonne's. It starts with an S. She plays the.
Oh, she's the captain's wife.
The captain's wife.
Amazing performance.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And she was on Dexter, and I remember, and I forgot that.
Oh yeah.
She
Pretty-
is amazing.
She looks like Rosamund
fierce.
Pike, that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
fierce.
She and I would have kind of switched her out for Samara Wiley
I totally agree.
or Uzo Aduba, what you said earlier. But I thought she should have got nominated as well. She was amazing on Handmaid's Tale.
Finish your snub. Did you finish your
That
snubs?
was my snubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we're good.
Okay,
I'm
good.
done.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to make sure. Girl.
So next is supporting actor in a drama. What do you got, Jeff?
So, I didn't watch The Crown.
Do you want to read the list?
Oh, of course I do.
Sorry.
Not
Like, let me just
bad.
get right into it.
All right. For supporting actor in a drama, we have Jonathan Banks from Better Call Saul, Mandy Patinkin for Homeland, Michael Kelly for House of Cards, David Harbour for Stranger Things, John Lithgow for The Crown, Ron Cephas Jones for This Is Us, and Jeffrey Wright for Westworld.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
This one's packed.
Yeah.
But there's only one person that's going to win.
With John Lithgow,
Yes.
right? I didn't watch it, but I heard
Okay.
he's
God,
great.
he's
So there are actors when you're watching them play historical figures and you're like, oh, that's so-and-so playing Martin Luther King. When you're watching him on The Crown, you don't see John Lithgow playing Winston Churchill. You see Winston Churchill on screen.
Absolutely.
He blends in so, and I remember, again, I said this earlier about some Alec Baldwin. When I saw that he was playing Winston, I was like, the guy from the Third Rock from the Sun is playing. And then I watched, I was like, oh my
and then
god.
you saw it and you changed your mind.
Holy
didn't you?
yes, it was he. If he doesn't win, and I have favorites in this category, but he is definitely got it on lock. He's the one to beat.
He's favored, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
the one to
won, I think, almost every other chance he's had to win this award he has for this season. So,
I think this is a loaded pistol, this category, don't you think?
yeah, it's competitive.
I mean, we got Mandy Patinkin in Homeland. Although I gotta say, Mandy Patinkin in Homeland this past season, it was okay.
Agreed. See, I agree with you on this one.
I know. we're making progress.
Yes, we are.
We're making progress. Ron Cephas Jones playing Sterling K. Brown's father on This Is Us.
He's good.
He's great.
He
I will
was
give him that.
wonderful, and he hardly ever gets any love in this capacity. So, as a dark horse, it would be wonderful to see him walk away from it. But I agree with y'all. I think that John Lithgow is probably going to walk away from it. And if you haven't seen The Crown, you need.
I know.
It's good.
I got The Crown as something to watch for something to judge, for something to vote for the African American Film Critics Association. Cool. We got it, and I was like, oh, The Crown. Let me put this in. What is this about? Oh, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, okay. I put that in, and I could not stop watching it. It was fascinating.
It's good.
It's so good. Okay,
It's good.
that's my 2 cents about that.
I will. I want before I give it to you, Taylor. Jeffrey Wright is another one to watch in this category, and only because, and I think this is another personal. I saw him as a lead on Westworld as opposed to supporting, because his character kind of drives the show. It definitely drives Rachel Wood's character into doing what she does on the show. And then when you when you find out what happens, what his character is, you're like, oh, that he's been, manipulated as well. But he's really good. He's great in everything he does. So I wouldn't count him out. Those are my two.
I love him too, but like I was saying, sometimes they will put you in a category where they think you have the best chance of winning, as opposed to the one where you actually should be in to win.
Yeah, Taylor.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you guys said about predictions. Michael Kelly, I love House of Cards.
Me too, girl.
And he's again kind of a secret weapon on that show, I think. So good. I know it's a lot of times Kevin Spacey, Robin Wright, who are also phenomenal, are the ones talked about, but Michael Kelly's so consistent, and he's so he just is that character now.
But can I ask you, because I know you watched the show, do you think this season he was kind of not lost, but his character really didn't have a whole lot of change?
I agree with that.
Because I think I wanted him to win last year, because I think his last season was really good, coming back from being almost dead. Technically. And I love him. I think he's him and Jonathan Banks are my consistent two. That they always get nominated, but they never win. But do you think that his character kind of really fell in the supporting role?
Right, and I feel that way kind of about all the House of Cards characters this season, because this season was a little...
It was more about the president and the first lady.
Yeah, and the acting was good, but I don't think that it was a lot different than anything we'd seen before, except the only argument I'll make for that is at the end when... Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. When they sit him down to that dinner and they're telling him...
That was a great scene.
That was a great scene. So if they have to submit an episode and he submits that one, I could see him having a shot, but as a whole of the season, I agree with you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch the dramas a ton, but from what I've heard, it sounds like John Lithgow's favored to win, so... Yeah, no snubs for me.
We can take that to the bank, I think.
Yeah.
Any snubs? I don't really have necessary snubs. I don't know if anyone watches Better Call Saul, but Michael McKean, who plays Saul's brother, had a really amazing season. And at the end of the season, you're just like, what happens next with this character? And I think he's really good. And also, I wrote it down. Oh, Rupert Friend, who I think on Homeland had a better season than Saul had.
Most definitely.
Than
Mandy.
Mandy did.
Most definitely.
And I would have liked to see him, because he played a character who had PTSD. And he was just all over the place. I think this should have been his year. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. And to speak to what you said about Michael Kelly, his character on House of Cards is just, he's such a despicable little character.
But he's so complex.
Yeah.
He is complex, but it makes him despicable, and you feel empathy for him all at the same time, which makes his performance a really good performance. But I feel like you said, Taylor, that sometimes his character and the evolution of his character gets lost in the telling of the story of Robin Wright's character and Kevin Spacey's character. So yeah, there's that.
Speaking of Kevin Spacey, I think lead actor, or is it actress?
We can go actor next.
You do it.
Well, let's just go do actor.
Okay.
So lead actor in a drama, we have Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul, Kevin Spacey for House of Cards, Liev Schreiber for Ray Donovan, Matthew Rhys for The Americans, Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, Milo Ventimiglia for This Is Us, and Anthony Hopkins for Westworld.
Ooh, this is a loaded one.
Yeah.
So Milo, spoiler alert, Milo probably won't be coming back when they have Emmys next year, because the whole show revolves around what we know that his character has expired.
Right.
And so the whole show, the last season revolved around what happened. Do we know what happened to him? How did he die? Blah, 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 blah. So I think this might be, depending on, how the episodes play out this season, this might be his last chance to get nominated. So
we've seen actors who die, like Ben Mendelsohn, come back as a guest in flashback, and he basically plays flashbacks. So we'll probably see him a lot more.
I would like to see him a lot more. Matthew, is it Rhys or Rhys?
Rhys.
Ooh,
so
my bad.
Matthew Rhys, I loved him when he was on that ABC drama. Oh God, what was it called? I can't remember. But he was really good on there. He played the gay brother on there. So the American
Brothers and Sisters.
Brothers and Sisters.
Yeah.
When he was on Brothers and
about
Sisters,
that.
he was. See, I know my stuff. So he was on there, and he was brilliant on there. And that show never got any love by anybody except for Sally Field. But on the Americans, he's got this completely different character and twist and thing that he's playing, and for me that makes his character or what he's doing with that character on that show a little compelling, and it would be nice to see him get some love for that, but he probably won't. Everybody loves Kevin Spacey on House of Cards. Everybody loves Liev Schreiber on Ray Donovan, but he never gets any love for Ray Donovan.
Yeah, he won't.
Which is mind-boggling to me because he slays that. He slays Ray Donovan. I'm just saying. I don't know. That category is so freaking loaded. I don't even know who's gonna win that one.
It's tough. I think it's gonna be Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, he's the favorite.
And I only say that, and I will say about Milo, the first episode of This Is Us. If there was a moment that I almost cried, that was a moment when he finds out that his kid died. One of the kids.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the touching moments for him. But I think it's gonna be K. Brown. I think he's a great actor. I mean, there's no denying that. When O.J. Simpson, he was great in that. I think I would like to see Spacey finally win.
I agree.
I said that last year, and he lost last year. I would like to see Bob Odenkirk win. I think he sells me on Saul. I mean, it's just really fun to watch him play that role. And I agree with you with Matthew Rhys. I think his character is so complex because they're dealing with a lot.
Yes.
As far as being Russians and
espionage
then trying to raise kids in America, it's complex.
Right.
But if it's not Spacey, I think it's going to be Sterling K. Brown. And Anthony Hopkins, I think he's great. He's a supporting character.
Yeah.
Like I can remember 2 scenes with him in it, and that's the very last ones.
And I don't think he's being stretched in Westworld.
No.
I agree with you, everything you just said. Sterling K. Brown is favorited to win. I will say he's great in the show, but he's going to have his chance in the future, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Also, what a meteoric rise for Sterling K. Brown. I didn't know who he was last year, and now he's Sterling K. Brown.
I did, because he's from St. Louis, and I'm from St. Louis.
Nice. Well, I love him. He's great.
And fun fact, his wife is from St. Louis, too.
Nice. I love it.
And she's on the show.
But I would like to see Kevin Spacey win as well. Even if this wasn't his best season as Frank Underwood, it's his turn, I think. And he's so good in the show. So he would be my favorite, but I think it's going to be Sterling.
I agree 100% with that, and I'm super biased because House of Cards is like one of my favorites, but Kevin Spacey deserves it, guys. Like, it's his year. He hosted the Tonys. He's done all this stuff.
He got 2 Oscars. He ain't heard
of it. Okay, but
okay, so I had this conversation where a friend of mine is like, why are people still watching House of Cards? It's still relevant. And you would agree, this whole, not to bring in this Trump administration, but there were a lot of parallels that they nailed onto. There's some storylines I'm just like, really? Come on now. Like with Robin Wright's character towards the end. But it's still fascinating. And there's one scene that I remember, and I watched it like months ago, where he's at the inauguration and he's going through the speech, and then he goes to camera and gives this whole like worldview on what's happening in politics today, and I thought it was fascinating. And if he's gonna submit an episode, I think that should be the one.
Kevin Spacey is just he's just an amazing actor, and his range is redunculous. Okay, another fun fact. So I did a commercial with him where I did the tango with him, and it was for E-Trade, and he was in some other. I
remember that. I don't know why.
And he was in some other country when they were rehearsing us. He flew in. He had to learn the dance. I think he shot 6 E-Trade commercials. He had to know all of the dialogue for all 6 of these E-Trade commercials because nobody else is talking but him. He had to learn this choreography and do the tango with us, and he was in another country. He learned this on the plane when he got on the plane, and when he got there, we had been rehearsing the choreography for 4 days, and homeboy showed up and knew that choreography.
Wow.
He's professional. I'm
just saying, he is an anomaly in this industry where people... Like I said, he got 2 Oscars. He ain't hurting. So if he didn't win, you're absolutely right. If anybody deserves to win an Emmy, Kevin Spacey deserves to win an Emmy. But if he doesn't, he'll be just fine.
Yeah,
true. But let's give it to him anyway. Any snubs?
Freddie Highmore,
Yeah,
Bates
I wrote that one
Motel.
down.
Yeah.
Tony had that. And then Rami Malek.
Oh, yeah.
Rami Malek. They totally dissed him this
Okay,
year.
so yeah,
He won
last
last
year,
That's, crazy.
and he beat 4 of these nominees from last year, and there's 7 nominees in this category.
Yeah.
So
He's good in the show. I will say, I think Mr. Robot is fine. I don't know.
I
if-
agree with you.
I'm like,
was hype.
they made The Matrix a show. Like, it's good.
They made The
Or,
Matrix.
or they made Dexter a hacker.
Yeah, like.
Okay, that's really accurate.
I think I said it last year.
I was like, people are like, this is a revolutionary show. And I was like, it feels like so 90s.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel, when you see a show like The Handmaid's Tale, which just is so contemporary, I don't know. Mr. Robot was great. And it had some really cool twists and turns.
It was
but
fine. Like
I
you said
think in
earlier.
the same way that Stranger Things is a lot of fun, but like, I don't know why it's getting all this Emmy attention. I feel that way about Mr. Robot. So I don't hate not seeing Rami here this year.
I don't
but
either.
Yeah.
And I called him to lose last year, and he ended up winning. So what do I know? All right, lead actress in a drama series.
We have Robin Wright from House of Cards, Viola Davis from How to Get Away with Murder, Kerry Russell for The Americans, Claire Foy for The Crown, Elizabeth Moss for The Handmaid's Tale, and Evan Rachel Wood for Westworld.
I'm going to start this one off. I can do this, close my eyes, and land on any name and can give you an explanation as to why
Yeah.
they should win. They're all great. This is if any of these
It's
acting
loaded.
any of these acting categories, this is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of these actresses could win. And I mean, Handmaid's Tale by far was one of my favorite shows from last year. So I'm kind of biased, and I loved Peggy on Mad Men.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Moss has my vote. But The Crown, amazing. The one reason why I don't think she's gonna win, Claire Foy, is that she blends into this world of being Queen Elizabeth II, and you forget that she's playing Queen Elizabeth. I mean, you think I feel like I
Right.
was watching.
But that's part of the charm. That's part of the charm of the show, and for her character,
Right.
because as the queen, you're not rolling around going, "I'm the queen." You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
No, but like, okay, so Viola Davis, we know she has emotional range.
Yeah.
Compared that to a very subtle, very
Right.
stoic Claire Foy.
But that was what makes the category
But
nail-biting.
I think
It might
I think
play
voters,
against her.
Yeah, I think voters are not going to see that.
Yeah.
And Robin Wright had I think she had more to work with this season than 1 through 3 combined. If, I don't know if you'll agree with me on that one,
It's
Taylor.
her turn.
Huh?
It's her turn.
It is her turn.
Her turn.
But I'm Elizabeth Moss, and I love The
Yeah.
Americans. Kerry Russell. I'm torn. I would be okay with any one of these women winning.
Me too. To speak to what you said, the voters are in the industry. The people that vote are in the industry. So I'm sure they know the range of all these women. They know they've seen a lot of these women come up through the ranks over the years. You know, Viola is a Tony winner. She's a Golden Globe winner.
She's an Oscar winner. She
She's
won
the
this year.
Oscar winner. Yeah, that's true. She did win the Oscar. So she's got range, and she's won multiple awards. All of these women, this is the nail-biting category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is that category where you're going to be watching it, and it's like you said, you can put your finger on any one of them and be like, okay, I'm good. But it's going to be that nail-biting category that when it comes up, your stomach is going to be doing somersaults, and you're going to be like, oh, Lord, who's it going to be? And then when it comes out, you're going to be like, oh, okay.
I can get behind that. And
Yeah.
I forgot to mention Evan Rachel Wood too. And I didn't mention this about Tandy Newton. When they're going in and out of playing a robot and then human and then having the robot part be human, I feel like that's difficult.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, anybody could win this.
And that's what's interesting with Evan Rachel Wood is,
And I wasn't a fan. I've never been a fan of her.
yeah, she was great in Westworld. Would you say that her character kind of shares parallels with Offred from Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what's so interesting to me is you almost have two kind of similar performances of having to
Not
act,
performances.
well, characters, I
Characters,
guess.
yeah.
But even I would say elements of performance too, because they both have to play like I'm quiet and subtle here, but then I have my chance to break down in this room over here. But I would still have to give it to Elizabeth Moss
Yeah.
here, and she's favored. Just in terms of like close up on your face, like the silent tears moment.
Oh my God!
Like,
There was one. She did a mini series a couple of years ago that she lost for. She played a New Zealand, a detective in New Zealand. I can't remember the name of it. I should have wrote it down. And she didn't win for that, and I thought she was amazing in that. So if you're watching in the chat room, please look that up.
Let us know what it is.
Taylor, what you got for us, if anything?
I think it's gonna have to be Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
That's just like that's all you hear about, you know what I mean? Like I love that Viola Davis is here. She's an amazing actress. I think that How to Get Away with Murder has maybe declined a little bit in popularity and quality over the years, but I'm glad that Viola Davis is recognized because she's can do no wrong. She's Viola Davis.
Annalise.
She's Annalise.
Annalise Keating.
And then obviously, like Robin Wright, always such a.
I would love to see her win. Too.
I would too.
Like I can't. I'm
she
almost.
never wins. Like
never
she always
should.
gets nominated for stuff, and she never wins.
She's so
Well,
great.
you
though.
and I know. I don't know if you guys at the end of that season, the last season. I mean, her
House
character.
of Cards.
Her
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
So her character gives us more than I think we anticipated.
My mouth dropped to my crack on that one. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
She deserves the Emmy for that one line at the
That
end.
moment.
Okay.
Most definitely.
There's a moment where she's walking out of the bedroom and she turns the camera and she's like addressing us for the first time.
Oh, that was
And
so
it
good.
gave me chills.
I'm telling you.
She's like, you guys, I know that you're watching this too. And then like she walks off and I'm just like, oh my god.
My mouth dropped to my crack. I'm like, oh, no, they didn't do us like that.
So I think what the voters should do is just put names in a hat and just pick.
Just draw it.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that.
Cool.
That
Any
being said,
snubs?
yeah, I was wondering, with such a competitive category, it's almost you feel bad introducing snubs because you're like, who would I remove to put a snub in? If there was room for one more actress, I gotta say, we've been hating on the show a little bit this season, but Winona in Stranger Things, people had problems with her performance. I loved
Me
her.
being one of them.
Fair. I mean, it was a big performance, but here's my problem: the fact that Barb is nominated for an Emmy and Winona
did.
is not.
I'm totally okay.
For
with
those who haven't seen the show, this won't give anything away, but Winona's character is a mother who's kind of on the verge of losing her mind because her son is
On the verge.
her son has disappeared, Kenny. Her son is gone, and she's the only person who knows he's still alive. She would be unhinged, and I was very moved by her performance this season.
I have to say this. That was the one thing that pulled me out of Stranger Things.
She's kind of in a different world than the other characters, but she would be because her son is
It's on a wall. I get that, but it was like, and I don't know if this is the director's choice or
Hers.
if hers. I was just like, oh my god, I almost broke my television every time she came on. I was like, I can't.
When she has the lights and she's first communicating with her son, I was very moved, Kenny.
Dude, it's Winona Ryder.
Yeah,
Come
but
on
I'm
now.
so glad. You're right. There's no room for her in this category. Sorry.
This season there's not, but I don't know. I really liked her as Joyce Byers. Hell, in the comments if you agree, let me know.
A couple of other people missing from this, like Clara Danes usually gets nominated. I would have been okay. Yeah, I would have been okay if she was in it. She does the same thing on Homeland.
This season, not so much. No.
See, and then
Okay.
speaking of Unreal, Shiri Appleby
She's good.
is
She was good.
so
Yes.
I think she's like great. Like, and I feel like she gets upstaged by Constance Zimmer a lot,
Yeah.
who's also incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, but just she's. I just
Last
love to see
season.
Shiri
I think they
Appleby
both
get
should get
love.
love.
I think she suffered from what Rami Malek suffered from, which is a weak season.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think seasons 1 for both shows, Mr. Robot and Unreal, were great, and then the second season, I was just like, really?
I
I
love the
agree.
fact though that they had. I love the fact that they had a black bachelor on Unreal,
I think that was.
And then the actual Bachelor.
and then the actual. Well, that's a whole nother
saying.
conversation.
Yeah, but I agree. I can get behind those. I thought I had another one. Maybe not. Maybe Christine Baranski for The Good Fight. No one watched
Yeah.
that. But she's always good.
I did watch The Good Fight and she was amazing. I
yeah.
agree.
She's
Probably
always
I would
good.
actually replace her for Winona in this case. but-
Good, thank you.
She's
You're
always
back in
good,
my
and
good
she already
graces.
got an Emmy. Next.
So, is that all the drama? So we're moving into limited series. So this is uncharted territory for us. This year, limited series is basically a combination. The actors, as far as the actors, they could be in a movie as well. I did not see a lot of the movies. I did watch a few of the limited series. So let's just go down the list. We're gonna do supporting as well. Do we have time for supporting?
I think so. Yeah, this is fast.
Yeah.
So let's do
Okay,
it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Supporting actor in the limited series. I think it's first.
yes.
We have Alexander Skarsgård in Big Little Lies. We have David Thewlis in Fargo. We have Alfred Molina in Feud. We have Stanley Tucci in Feud. We have Kenneth Williams in The Night Of. And we have Bill Camp in The Night Of.
Okay, what do you guys think?
First of all, I want to say this was an amazing year for limited series.
It was.
That's part of the reason I wanted to talk about it, is because there was so many. It's for the first year, it's super competitive. There's not a clear standout. I loved Feud, and I watched all the limited series this year. Actually, I haven't watched Big Little Lies, which everyone says is amazing. But I watched
Well, I haven't
Night
watched
of.
Feud, so I can't really comment on that.
Feud was so good, and
It was amazing.
the thing that Feud has going for it is Hollywood loves Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if, that ends up playing into Feud's favor. But Alfred Molina plays the director of the movie in which
Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon and Jessica Lange are starring in their characters.
Is it Whatever Happened to Baby
Whatever
Jane?
Happened to Baby Jane, yeah. And he has to navigate this interesting line where he's being challenged by the studio to push these women further than they would want to be in kind of a sexist way, but he's also supporting these women when he's on set. So he's really torn between the two camps and his wife. And it's a turn from Alfred Molina that I'd never seen and never would have expected. So I would like to see him win this category. I don't think he will, though. I think Alexander Skarsgård is going to win for Big Little Lies.
He made that show almost unwatchable for me because he's made it not that it was a bad performance, but because it was so intense and scary, and you could just that tension. I cringed watching it.
But there were some points where he's kind of likable, and then
that's the thing, yeah.
And so you don't really want to root for him, but he walks that line when you were talking about Alfred Molina. He walks that line of just being a complete a-hole and being so lovable with the kids and being that person you're hoping for the best, but you're not gonna get it.
You're not gonna get it.
So I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Alfred Molina's character is that he's playing somebody that is real. This was a person that really lived and breathed. Now, there's been a lot of controversy as to how much of what they performed in the Feud limited series was accurate. There's a moment where there's these a lot of the series takes place with these interviews that happen backstage at the Oscars at some point, and there's a lot of controversy as to whether or not these interviews actually took place, if some of the dialogue was twisted. As a matter of fact, Olivia de Havilland, who is still living, is suing the creators because she says that interview with her in particular never took place and that they were putting words in her mouth.
Right.
So there's that. But in terms of the performance with Alfred Molina, I agree with you, Jeff, that this is out of his wheelhouse of characters. He never does these types of characters. He's usually somebody that's really kind of despicable.
Right.
And this time he's playing somebody that's a little more empathetic, that has a heart, and you see this range of emotion with him. So I like him, but I agree with y'all. I think that the Alexander Skarsgård will probably win.
Full disclosure, I stayed away from Feud because I got sucked into American Horror Story.
Yeah.
And every season, I was so disappointed. I got sucked into Glee. So I stayed away from Ryan Murphy for this one.
Fair enough.
But I hear great things about it.
The thing with Feud that's so different from most Ryan Murphy stuff is it's did you watch American Horror Story?
I did.
In the same way that the dramatic intensity of Ryan Murphy shows is great, but American Horror Story was grounded and interested in talking about important issues. Feud was way better than it should have been.
Really?
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought it was going to be cheesy.
For
and
sure.
It kind of wasn't.
That's why I stayed away from it.
I thought it was going to be Ryan Murphy pitting two bitchy women against each other, catfighting, and it was much more interested in Hollywood sexism and the power structure of the studio system and alcoholism, and the show was very good. And I don't think anyone expected it to be nearly as good as it was.
So I should watch it.
You should watch Feud.
Okay,
I
give
loved
it a try.
You'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and the performances are so good in Feud too.
I think from what I've seen, I agree with Alexander Skarsgård. I think he really sells that bad boy character. David Thewlis, I think it is, from Fargo. He runs that show.
Yeah,
he's I don't know if you guys watched it, but he is from top to bottom. Every scene that he's in, you don't want to watch him because he's so nasty. Physically, he's a nasty person. But you cannot not watch him. And I think if you would have recast that with any actor, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I think I would put my money on him as opposed to anybody else in this category. But I can see why Alfred Molina. I think he's a great actor. I just haven't seen Feud.
Yeah.
Any snubs? I don't necessarily have any for limited.
There's less competition in terms of number of shows, so
Right.
snubs are less common for these categories.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, supporting actress in a limited series?
I can read these. So Regina King for American Crime, Laura Dern for Big Little Lies, Shailene Woodley from Big Little Lies, Jackie Hoffman from Feud, Judy Davis from Feud, and Michelle Pfeiffer from The Wizard of Lies.
Okay.
So I saw one clip of Big Little Lies, and it's Laura Dern going, "I said thank you," and
She's funny.
that's
She's
the
so
moment that
good.
says that everyone says is going to win her an Emmy this year. I don't know if you guys agree, having seen the show, but
I agree.
Laura Dern's
with that.
hilarious.
She's
I
so
love
good.
her. She's such a great actress. She's another one that we've been talking a lot today about people being underrated and just not had their moment or their time in the sun. She's one of those people. Like
Right.
she's really she's such a great actress that she makes what she does look easy. Like
Right.
it almost looks like she's not acting
Acting at
but
all.
she is.
I agree with that.
She's also like everywhere this year. Like she's in the
Yeah.
new Star Wars. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's
I love
finally
that.
getting her moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
I feel like
great.
there's a resurgence of Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was in Wild with Reese Witherspoon a couple of years ago. She's been in a
She
lot
was
of
in a
things.
movie called 99 Homes.
oh, that
Yes.
was such a good movie.
Yeah.
And it was a great
Young.
movie.
I feel like she does fly under the radar.
Yeah, she really does. But I like her a lot, and I don't think Regina King is gonna win.
She is the reigning two-time champ
She
in this
is,
category.
and they may just give it to her because it's the last time American Crime is on the air.
Mm-hmm.
So they may just give it to her for that. I don't know. It depends on how the Academy voted. Judy Davis in Feud was everything to me.
She was the gossip columnist.
Yes,
Yeah, she was great.
Was everything. She played Hedda Hopper in Feud, and she was just Judy. But Judy Davis always plays these really crazy, eccentric, quirky people. So in that respect, this character isn't any different than other characters that she's portrayed, but she was really lovely. But I loved Michelle Pfeiffer in Wizard of Lies.
Oh, you did see
I
it.
saw Wizard of Lies, and Michelle Pfeiffer in Wizard of Lies is not a Michelle Pfeiffer that we're used to seeing.
And that was going to be my question.
She's older. She's playing somebody that's frail. She's not got any of the Michelle Pfeiffer isms that you usually see in other films. And you have to remember, we're used to seeing Michelle Pfeiffer as this young, vivacious sex symbol
Catwoman.
of a woman. And that is not what she is in this movie. And you really... you're just kind of she kind of sucks you in by what she's doing, and you go, oh, this isn't the Michelle Pfeiffer I'm used to. I'm kind of digging this. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised by Shailene Woodley's nomination.
me too.
I just have a problem like with her acting a little bit, and it's not her, it's me, because I'm used to seeing her in these like teenage roles,
Yeah.
like Divergent and Fault in Our Stars, which also had Laura Dern in it.
Laura Dern is
Acted
everywhere.
with everyone.
She's everywhere.
But she had some really great moments, like when she was talking to Reese's character about what had happened to her, like with her assault and everything. But yeah, I just can't like get into her acting because I can't separate her like past roles from her
Right.
more adult roles.
I mean, I can understand that because those films, those roles that you spoke of in those films, they're huge, and those films are these big, huge franchises. So yeah, it's easy to understand that.
I feel like she was more lead though, as more the supporting. Like
Yeah.
I think she had just as much screen time as Reese and Nicole did.
She's on the posters.
She
But
is.
again,
Yeah.
they do it sometimes because they think you have a better chance
shot.
of winning in
Right.
that category.
I didn't see Feud or Wizard of Lies, so I'm just gonna go with Laura Dern. But I think Regina King. American Crime, this third installment wasn't the strongest by far, and it didn't even get nominated for limited series. But she's still solid. But again, I feel like it's just Regina King with a solid role. So,
Yeah, I agree.
all right, moving on to lead actor.
For lead actor in a limited series, we have Ewan McGregor for Fargo, Jeffrey Rush from Genius, Benedict Cumberbatch from Sherlock the Lying Detective, John Turturro from The Night Of, Riz Ahmed from The Night Of, and Robert De Niro from The Wizard of Lies.
Okay, I got something to say about this
Go
real quick.
for it.
So Jeffrey Rush, I love Jeffrey Rush. I love that he's playing Albert Einstein in Genius, but that character of him playing Albert Einstein in Genius is very reminiscent of this character that he played in Quills, where he played the Marquis de Sade.
Yes.
So it kind, for me, those two kind of go like this.
Okay.
And so I'm like, yeah, no. So,
So we're taking him off the list.
you know, I love John Turturro. I haven't seen The Night Of, but I'm a big fan of him as an actor. in this category overall, and I love Benedict Cumberbatch because I think he's brilliant, and he's just Benedict Cumberbatch, and Ian McGregor too. I love all of them, but the person that I would love to see walk away with this is Robert De Niro.
He's favored.
Only because Robert De Niro in Wizard of Lies as Bernie Madoff gave me life.
Really?
He was. It wasn't like with Michelle Pfeiffer. This is a Robert De Niro you have never seen before. He's not playing a gangster. He's not making fun of himself playing a gangster. He's not playing some crazy person like in Taxi Driver or like in Raging. He is none of these characters that you've seen him embody before. It's not what Bernie Madoff is. And you literally, like you were saying about who you were saying,
John Lithgow.
When you look at John Lithgow playing Winston Churchill, you believe that is Winston Churchill that you're watching. When you watch Robert De Niro play Bernie Madoff, you believe that you are watching Bernie Madoff. Straight up.
That's some strong words, girl.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
I haven't seen Wizard of Lies. I'm probably going to watch it after this. I really, really, really but I really loved The Night Of. And I think Riz Ahmed, for me, I'm sure he's been around forever. He just came out of nowhere, and he did an episode of Girls, which he's nominated for.
Totally different character.
Totally different character, and like he makes that character just so. Watching the transition of the character is so profound to watch, and I think. And fun fact: James Gandolfini was supposed to play John Turturro's character, and he passed away. But he still got an EP credit, an executive producer credit. So knowing that would have been interesting to see Gandolfini play the lawyer.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna go with Riz Ahmed. Although Ewan McGregor played two characters.
Yeah. Do you know if he's nominated for both? How does that work?
He's just nominated once for playing both characters.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. I don't think they can separate.
No, they don't separate.
One character is supporting and the other one is lead.
Yeah, it's just like when they had soap operas on the air and there was somebody on the soap playing two characters, they would just nominate that.
Could you, in theory, get nominated twice for playing like in supporting and in lead, and for the same show?
I would think only if they were in different episodes. I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
They do that in movies, but they don't. I don't think they've ever.
But it has to be two different movies.
Yeah. Yes, it's two different movies. Yeah.
But he's really great. But Riz is my pick.
So it's funny, I haven't seen the other Jeffrey Rush project you talked about, but he blew me away as Einstein and Genius.
Quills?
So, yeah.
You gotta watch it. You'll see exactly what I mean.
It might tear down my current selection for favorite for this category, but we're talking about a lot of the wins we want to see are people portraying historical figures. We've mentioned John Lithgow as Churchill. We mentioned De Niro as Madoff. To me, Jeffrey Rush as Einstein was a totally disappearing moment. I thought Genius was so good. I'm so glad it's getting the attention it is because it's Nat Geo's first scripted series, and it's nice to see when a fledgling network takes on an ambitious project and gets rewarded for it. For those of you guys who don't know, Genius will be a different featured artist each season. So next season is Picasso, which I'm really excited about.
So they're jumping on this whole train.
Anthology,
yeah.
They are, but I think it's smart.
We'll see.
Genius was great, and I thought Jeffrey Rush was totally disappearing as Einstein. So I think it'd be a cool moment for him. Not that he hasn't got enough attention already, but I do like Jeffrey Rush a lot. So we'll see.
As she said about Spacey, if he doesn't win, he's got an Oscar, so who cares?
Absolutely.
Taylor, did you jump in on this?
I am not familiar with a lot of these. It's a category that I'm not,
just
strongest in. But okay, well,
just put your finger on.
Who do you like?
All right, well, Meet the Parents is my favorite movie of all time, so I'm just gonna give it to Robert De Niro.
He's actually favored, which is interesting because
I feel like in this category, because we've seen Pacino win this category for playing a
Angels
guy,
of America,
or what was the guy who murdered his wife at sea with Helen Mirren?
Oh.
I can't remember that one.
If you're watching,
Legally Blonde.
No. But yeah, they usually like to award these well-known actors for playing these 2-hour HBO shows.
But to speak to that point, regardless of the fact that if I didn't know that he was Robert De Niro, I wouldn't care. He literally
Spectre. That's the that was the movie.
Phil Spector.
Yeah.
He literally becomes Bernie Madoff, like literally, and it was just great. It was really great acting. It was
awesome. Next, lead actress.
So nominated for lead actress in a limited series, Felicity Huffman for American Crime, Nicole Kidman for Big Little Lies, Reese Witherspoon for Big Little Lies, Carrie Coon for Fargo, Jessica Lange for Feud, and Susan Sarandon for Feud.
I'm going to back up. Carrie Coon in the last season of Leftovers, she was snubbed. So
Oh,
that was
yeah.
my other Best Actress snub. She's great in Fargo. I don't think she's going to win. As much as I'm not a Reese Witherspoon fan, she carries Big Little Lies from top to bottom.
Oh my God.
She's so, and I think it's going to be, and I didn't watch Feud, but I can only imagine those two, Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon are great.
I'm telling you, Susan Sarandon got this on.
See,
Susan Sarandon got this on lockdown.
I would
think.
go Jessica here. And I know Susan Sarandon, they say, played Betty Davis to a T.
Yes, she did.
But the thing with Jessica Lange's performance in Feud is basically she portrays Joan
Crawford.
Thank you. She portrays Joan as this like desperately sad alcoholic character who just like loses herself throughout the whole show. And yeah, even if she wasn't nailing Joan, her performance broke my heart. So
She did nail. I thought both of them
Nailed it.
I think both of them nailed it. And fun fact, Betty Davis, when she was alive, had actually come to Susan Sarandon and asked her to portray her in a project that never happened.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
the fact that
not funny, but
the fact that it came to fruition so many decades later after she's gone is kind of like freaky and wonderful all at the same time. But I think, unlike most categories where people cancel each other out, I don't think they're gonna cancel each other.
One
out
of them's
in this
gonna win,
category.
and I think it's gonna be Jessica.
See, I disagree with both of you.
No,
Nicole
Taylor, no.
Kidman.
Shut
Nicole
up, Kenny.
Kidman.
that was my other choice.
Yeah, actually, I've heard she is favored.
Yeah.
But
I love Reese Witherspoon in the show too, and I agree with you. She is kind of the heart of it. She carries it. She's kind of the catalyst, but I feel like the Academy also rewards more like sad performances.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And not like Nicole Kidman, I feel like deserves it too.
You
I
want to
think
give her a
that's-
hug and be like,
yes.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Jessica Lange and Feud. That I won't say anything, but the last episode of Feud
you
takes
can
it
give it away.
totally.
I watch it. I'm just not invested in it.
So basically, like the whole last episode is Joan Crawford hallucinating the life she wished she would have had.
Oh.
It's like that's what I mean about the show.
It was
you're
really
like,
cool.
Better
you're
than
like,
you expected.
So much better than it should have been. And I was just so heartbroken by those scenes. And I was like, I just think Jessica Lange can do no wrong. And she's gotten plenty of attention, but I don't know. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen Big Little Lies. I know I
I
need
haven't
to.
either,
but-
so I can't speak
of
to that
her,
either.
And because she's in an abusive relationship, and like her in like the therapist's office. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's like these kind of monologue type things. She's incredible.
Could we
Wouldn't
just
it
say
be great to see a tie in this category?
I think if there were any
Yeah.
two categories, lead drama in this category, I can see.
The women overall are just so much better
What
this
did I
year.
say earlier about the women?
I just got to say, this year especially.
that we're killing it.
Yeah. It does feel like a woman's. Yeah.
There were a lot of controversy because Oprah Winfrey wasn't nominated.
Yeah, I will say I saw Henrietta and she
Oh,
was.
for Henrietta, like she was
She
wonderful.
was wonderful. She was so good.
But you know what? The industry has a love-hate relationship with Oprah.
Oprah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They feel like she got enough money, why she acting?
Right.
But what people fail to remember or care about is the fact that Oprah Winfrey wanted to be an actress first. She just fell into
Hosting.
being a
Hosting.
talk show host. She
Yeah.
wanted to be an actress and ended up being a much bigger and better
Mogul.
right. So, and she's a decent actress. But the thing that I liked about her and Henrietta Lacks is that most of the time, and I'm a big Oprah head. I love Oprah Winfrey. Like, I'm that chick. But what I will say is that in Henrietta Lacks, we've never seen her portray this kind of character. Usually when Oprah's acting, it's just Oprah in another character in another movie, for me. This particular time, she was different, and she was really, really good. And I feel some kind of way about the fact that she got dissed.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
just
Taylor.
as far
Go
as
ahead.
snubs go, okay, Gilmore Girls revival
I
wasn't
heard a lot of
the
people.
greatest ever. It wasn't. It was cute and it was good, but I mean, Lauren Graham was as great as ever. She has always been kind of snubbed for her role in Gilmore Girls, so it would have been nice
That's
to see
true.
her in there.
And that
then
would be limited,
I
considering.
think it would, yeah, because it's a 4-part.
Yeah, they
Okay.
only brought it back.
Even
for-
though it's attached to a. Okay.
Series, no.
Interesting.
It's
And
not like it's a
then-
revival of
It's
a
very
series.
confusing to
It
me.
is confusing.
I had to
It
look
is.
it up.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It is.
And then for so Black Mirror are like movies now, which is kind
Yeah.
of bizarre, but
Because it's only an hour.
yeah.
San
Well-
Junipero, were you going to say?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, in Nosedive.
She's really good.
She
in
was great.
Nosedive.
She was great.
I love her.
She was amazing in that.
Have you
Yeah.
seen Black Mirror?
I haven't, but
Ooh,
I
it's
love
so
me some
good.
Bryce
That's
Dallas
like
If you
Howard.
like Bryce, it's her best
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah.
And
I
that,
agree.
like, some of those episodes are real creepy
Too
intense.
real.
Yeah.
But like this one is like more palatable a little bit. It's still
Yeah, but it
insane,
also
but-
gets you thinking about
Yeah.
this is still what we're doing now. This is
Right.
how people are interacting.
Right.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm on that Bryce Dallas Howard. I'm probably saying her name wrong.
No, that's right. Bryce Dallas Howard.
I love Felicity Huffman. I don't think she should have been in this category. I would have taken Bryce or Oprah in her place.
Yeah.
That was my only not fun nomination. Okay, so we're moving into limited series. We're coming to the home stretch, guys.
We're almost there.
Stay with us.
So nominated for limited series: Big Little Lies, Fargo, Feud, Genius, and The Night Of.
Feud.
See, the funny thing is, I know I've been preaching Feuds, and it was amazing, and I loved it. But The Night Of, you're with me,
I agree.
Kenny?
I'm 100%.
The Night Of, I would say, is a little more like quote important than
Yes.
Feud, and I hate saying that about art, but the way The Night Of explored race and like the prison industrial complex, and just I think that show is slept on and was the best, most important limited series we got this
I
year.
have to check it out. I did not see
you'll
it.
love
so I
it.
can't speak
You'll
to
love it.
It's really good. Last year we talked about how, because it came out as we were doing this show last year, and I was worried. I even said I hope it doesn't get forgotten about, because that was it was September of last year it came out.
Oh.
And so
clearly they didn't forget.
They didn't forget, and I'm glad they didn't, because I agree with everything that Jeff just said. It's so, you forget that some people, when they go into the system, whether they're guilty or innocent, they come out a different person, whether they admit it or not. And this character just goes through a transition that it's, by the end you're like, oh my god, this is so sad. And it kind of rings true to the prison system, to the whole, so that's my pick. The Night Of.
Okay. Taylor?
I'm Big Little Lies. We all know by now. I've been talking
She's
about
like,
it for
it's
so
good.
long.
Why did you even have to ask?
I was really impressed because I read the book first and I waited to watch it until after I read the book, and they, I think, just did a great job. Even the cinematography
beautiful.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
The music, all around, I think that's like a very quality
It's favored,
show.
so.
Yeah.
I have to check that one out too. I got lots of stuff on my list to
Yeah.
watch.
So you go Feud?
You're going Feud.
I'm going Feud.
I
Okay.
think the Hollywood component of Feud might push it to win, and I did think Feud was wonderful, so we'll see.
So
My mother
we
watched
have to
Feud.
watch Feud. You have to watch
Yeah.
The Night Of.
And I've got to
Yes.
watch Big Little Lies.
And you got to watch Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Little Lies.
We're going to now do comedy series. We're going to backtrack and do the nominees for Outstanding Comedy Series.
Atlanta, Blackish, Master of None, Modern Family, Silicon Valley, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Veep.
I think the one thing that's missing is Transparent, and I would have taken Modern Family out and put Transparent in, because I think Transparent, the third season of Transparent, was just as good as the first two, and they got nominated for the first two. So again, it's all about perspective. There's 7 nominees. I mean, if it's not Veep, it better be Atlanta. That's
Yeah.
all I gotta say.
It's probably gonna be
and
Atlanta.
I'm okay with Blackish winning, because Blackish has some great moments as a whole. But I think compared to an Atlanta or a Veep, I don't think it has a shot.
I'm kind of disappointed that Younger, it's on TV Land, it's in its 4th season now. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't broken into anything yet. It's a Darren Star, who was Sex and the
Sex
City
and the
creator.
City, yeah.
And like Sex and the City was a pretty like
Oh, that's the show with Sutton Foster.
yeah,
People love
Sutton
it.
Foster.
I've never heard of it.
Miriam Shore would have been a great supporting. She's hilarious in it. It's on TV Land, so it's a little bit
Okay.
not heard of as much. But I hope that in the future years that somehow breaks in, because it really is. It's kind of a sleeper hit.
Yeah. I know you hate on Modern Family, Kenny, but I'm gonna say this again about
hate it.
Modern Family is one of those shows. It's like a television comedy staple. People are gonna be talking about Modern Family the way we discuss Will and Grace and Friends and Seinfeld and Cheers and all those shows.
You don't think it's run its course?
I do not, because
Okay.
like I said, family never goes out of style.
That's
family
true.
shenanigans never go out of style.
I just feel like they follow this, and this is when dealing with the kids. As the kids grow up, they try to bring in, and like Gloria got pregnant, and so now he's the youngest, and so they're trying to give him more of the funnier, lines. But I just feel like it's not fresh. It's not.
The thing that it's always maintained is amazing writing.
Yes, I agree.
So it's like whether or not the plots and even the themes feel as fresh as they did when we first saw a gay couple on network. As someone who loves good comedy writing and good joke writing and well-structured network comedy, it's as sharp as it's ever been. So that's something a lot of shows can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to see Speechless in Modern Family's place, though,
Yeah.
because it's doing something new. It's about a family raising a child with cerebral palsy, so it has that kind of aspect, and it's done very respectfully, and it's hilarious. It's so funny. So
I think they don't get any love, though. There's something about the Academy and Minnie Driver. This is like maybe the third or fourth television series that she spearheaded as a lead, and in general, the series that she's on, they just don't get any love.
She got one nomination for The Riches, and I love The Riches. But it got canceled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No one watched it.
But you see what I'm saying with her. For some reason, with the Academy, they just don't click into her for some reason, or her shows, and I don't understand what that is, because she's brilliant.
She is great.
Very good on that show.
Fleabag. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
That was my favorite comedy of last year.
Yeah, I'm bummed Catastrophe's not here. See, I was wondering, because Fleabag is a British production, is it still Emmy eligible?
It was eligible,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, bummer it's not there. And then Search Party. Did any of you guys watch this?
I've heard good things.
So good. It's such a funny take on millennial. It's a great millennial satire. So just watch Search Party. It's great.
So who are you picking?
So you're gonna be pissed off at this, Kenny,
but don't say Modern Family.
I'm not gonna say Modern Family, and it's funny because I've been preaching Atlanta's and Veep's praises all after show.
Mm-hmm.
But Master of None was the best comedy season all year.
I cannot get into Master of None.
Did you watch this season?
I know.
The Thanksgiving episode.
I heard everyone's telling me to watch this episode, but I can't. I feel, and everyone tells me that you can watch that episode alone and still be satisfied. I can't get into it.
Do you like Aziz? Because he's kind of the show, and I feel like some people don't love Aziz.
I tried.
That's fair, and I feel like if you don't like Aziz,
I think he's funny. He used to do. Well, I'm not sure if he did stand up before, or if
I think he did.
He started in stand up.
I saw him when he was starting out as a stand up comedian. He's hilarious.
Very
he's
observational.
From my home state, South Carolina. I just can't. Yeah.
To me, and it's funny because I'm a comedy junkie, but I think Master of None was my favorite season of comedy this year.
And I heard the second season was better than the first.
Yeah. The first two episodes kind of wander, but as someone who works in showbiz, Kenny, it's such a funny takedown of. You just got to watch it.
I will try
Give it
again.
a shot.
I would try again. Okay, in our very last category, are we done with comedy?
Yeah. Veep is favored to win again.
Veep.
Just so you guys know, the industry thinks Veep is going to win again, which
I'm okay with that.
it was a great season.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
Season 5 was as good as it's ever been. So we'll see.
Drama series. Who's got this list?
I can read it.
Go for it.
Okay, let me my best dramatic voice. We have Better Call Saul. We have House of Cards, Stranger Things, interesting, The Crown, The Handmaid's Tale, This Is Us, and Westworld.
So all of these shows should thank the heavens that Game of Thrones was not eligible. Game of Thrones, if you don't know, Game of Thrones aired after the eligibility period.
So they weren't eligible.
So they weren't eligible at all.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So, having said that, there's some other shows that I like. Stranger Things, can we not have that on this list?
It was good.
This Is Us, can we not have that on this list? I would have taken those two off. I'm sorry.
Like you said earlier, I will jump over this table and fight you over This Is Us.
The thing about Stranger Things that I will defend is in terms of a synthesis of set design, editing, music, and production design, was such a complete show.
It was a package.
And everything worked together. There's even in House of Cards, there's production decisions or moments that kind of take away from the quality of the show. Stranger Things, every single element of the show as a whole, which is what we're talking about, came together perfectly. So I think that's the reason it maybe deserves a nomination. That's my Stranger Things case.
Okay, you can hop on that bandwagon.
I think this category again is it's jam packed with a lot of really good shows. So if any of those shows won, I would be good because all of these shows have strengths, very good strengths for one reason or another. But y'all know that my two favorites that I want to see win, or my three favorites that I would like to see win, are House of Cards,
I can get behind that.
The Crown,
I can get behind that.
or This Is Us. And I know you can't get behind that one. That's okay. What about you, Taylor?
I think that it's gonna be The Crown, just because it it's everything that Emmy voters want. You know what I mean?
It's so prestigious.
It's so pretentious.
It's
like
good
you know,
though.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Pretentious things can be good. Like, come on, everything on this list kind of.
Yeah.
But I also think The Handmaid's Tale could maybe take it.
That's my pick.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that, so
Oh my
I have to
gosh.
watch
It's
that too.
really
I think
good.
if it's not Game of Thrones, I think this is the second best television show on air.
I
currently.
would pick The Handmaid's Tale for me
Yeah.
as well. I think The Crown will win. That's what's favored, which is
Really? The Crown?
Yeah, that's what I've been reading, and it's
Crown
funny because
is
I do
good.
kind of feel like it sort of has quietly earned
Yeah.
its critical acclaim.
Well,
But
you know, watching The Crown, you're like watching cinematic
Yeah.
beauty. It is.
It looks like you're
top
watching
to-
a major feature film on your TV set.
Yeah, it is
That's what
top to
looks
bottom.
like.
The cinematography, the set dressing, everything. Performances are great. The story of Handmaid's Tale is just. Every scene is depressing, and
Yeah.
I like that. I don't know why. I like.
I don't know
depressing.
what I thought you were gonna say, but that was not it. You were like every scene. I'm like yes, and you're like it's depressing. I'm like oh.
But that's what makes the show, I think, deserving of
It's like
this
the night
win.
of,
Yes,
in the same
I think
way.
it's deserving. My only one, I wish that Stranger Things and This Is Us wasn't on this list, is The Americans. People slept on The
Yeah.
Americans for years. It got nominated last year, and it wasn't nominated this year.
This is their last year too, isn't it?
I think there's another season.
Okay.
Actually, I think there's another 2 seasons.
Okay.
But just the story, the whole cat and mouse, I'm still invested in, and a lot of people say this about House of Cards, that it's run its course. I'm still invested. Like
I'm still invested in House of Cards. I mean, politics are forever.
Yeah.
Politics are forever. You can never really get tired of politics because it's part of daily life, no matter what lane of life you're in.
Yeah.
So.
do you
know.
think Bates should have been in here, Taylor?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, and
Yeah.
like even. It didn't even get like any like design or directing.
It should have at least got
nominations,
design nominations.
right? Because it's
it's spectacular.
yes,
It is.
it's
yeah.
really spectacular, and it would have been great last season. You know,
Yeah.
throw
They
the bone.
showed no love. It became that Wire for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people watched it. Great show. No one. They
It
didn't
never
get
got any love.
Yeah, a lot of people said The Leftovers. I had my issues with The Leftovers. I thought season 2 was amazing. Season 3, they should have just stopped at season 1. But a lot of people said that should have been nominated.
People are furious about The Leftovers.
Well, Carrie Coon is by far the best thing on that show,
Right.
and she should have been nominated.
Yeah.
The show itself, I just had issues with it.
It's one of those leftover shows. That's
Yeah,
the irony.
exactly.
When all the things are just left over.
Exactly.
I'm gonna need
Thank
Carrie
you.
to get another. I'm gonna need her to get another last name, but okay.
Oh my god. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, guys? This was a great show.
I thought it was a great
It
show.
was long.
It's fun that Thrones isn't around this year.
Yes,
Because
but
it's like other shows get a chance.
yeah, but it'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Yes, it
So,
will.
final thoughts? Are we done with
We're
everything?
done.
So make sure you watch the Emmys, which airs on, I don't know the network. I think it's CBS.
I think
It's September 17th. It's a Sunday, so catch it 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and I'm sure we're gonna have an after show.
we will.
Here at
Yeah.
AfterBuzz following the telecast. So look out for that. Where can they find you, Jeff?
If you guys want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. I want a really quick plug. On Fridays, actually, normally, I host a show called The Unproduced Table Read on the Popcorn Talk Network, where we table read unproduced scripts. Carla was there last week.
I was.
So check it out. That's Fridays. If you like kind of good writing, our goal is to produce like well-written, unproduced table read shows. So check that out,
nice.
10 a.m. on Fridays. Yeah.
Hey, I am Carla Renata again on all social platforms at The Curvy Critic.
Hey guys, I'm Taylor Gates. You can find me on Twitter at alphaba_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
And you can find me at Kenny C. Harrison on Instagram and Twitter. I can never say the word Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Make your comments down below. We will see you back next year for
absolutely.
the 2018 Emmys.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.